Hello, Narnach here. Welcome to Grand Ages Medieval. Rather than starting a new series where I start the game from the beginning and just go through and build up a huge sprawling trade empire, I'm actually going to do something of a review slash critique. I was really looking forward to this game. This is. Let me just take 2 steps back. This game follows in the footsteps of the Patrician series and Rise of Venice afterwards. It's by the same developers, by Gaming Minds Studios, published by Calypso. The previous games in the series, or the previous games they made, they were all trade simulations. The Patrician series being centered around the Baltic Sea and the North Sea, so this general area of the map, and that involved a lot of trade by sea. And you had cities around the map that produced some goods, and you shipped those goods around in order to satisfy the local population and also to form production chains. So you would get some grain in one city and ship it over to a bakery in another city, and then ship the bread around to feed the people, and that was a nice thing to do. So then in the Rise of Venice series they shifted over to the Mediterranean area. You started in the city of Venice, which was at war with Genoa, which I think is somewhere around here. So there was this big tug of war with some political intrigue between the cities, and there was this huge sprawling campaign behind it. But at the core it was still a trade simulation by sea, where you shipped things around in order to satisfy the needs of all the different cities. Well, Grand Ages Medieval takes a slightly different approach. Rather than a business management game or a trade management game, this is an empire management game. But trade is still the dominating factor. There is combat, there is diplomacy, if you can call it diplomacy. There is some empire, there's expansion management, because you can found cities and things like that. But at the core, it's still a trade game. So let's dive in. So in this game, this is actually part of the campaign. There's no plot spoilers or anything in here. But it's the most advanced game I have, so it's easy to showcase everything that game has to offer. So if you look at my capital city of Sofia, there's 5 goods that can be produced here, and based on the area around it, you can actually reconfigure the goods that you produce. You can only produce up to 5 commodities, but based on what the terrain offers, you can build other things. So for example, there's clay nearby, so I can make pottery. There is no meadows with bees, so I can't actually grow honey. There's no mountains so with coal in them, so I can't get coal. The mountains nearby do contain metal, so I can make that. Not near water, so there's no fish. There's no fertile hills, so there's no wine. The goods up here plus wool, I think they're available in like 90% of all the cities. They might just be generally available as long as you have the open space available to make them. Pottery requires clay, but these other 7 goods here on the bottom, they just need space in the city because they need factories, so to say, to make them. And they transform goods from one thing into another. So beer requires grain, cloth requires wool, and so forth, with tools requiring both coal and metal, clothing requiring both cloth and furs, and pomp being built on top of tools and pottery. So there's a little bit of production change going on, but things are not overly complex. Actually, I mean, these are 20 goods. These are all the goods that are available in the game. And that's actually where we get to my first gripe with this game. The Patrician series was set in a relatively small area where there were 20 goods available. Rise of Venice had a slightly larger map. It actually had a quite larger map, and it featured 22 different goods. This game, it features the landmass of the entirety of Europe, including large parts of Northern Africa, and here you go into Asia. So this has a very, very large landmass, and it only features 20 goods. Not only that, in earlier games, the goods were predefined and spread out throughout the map. So the game designers dictated where the goods were. So if you go to the Patrician series, you had, I think Scandinavia had stockfish. I think textile production was mostly centered around the British Isles, and maybe I should just point on the minimap because that's actually where I'm looking. The region around Denmark here had meats, and I think beer was a German thing, and I think there was some specialties here as well, but I'm not sure. It's been too long since I actually played the Patrician series. But goods were spread out. The raw materials were available everywhere, but the more advanced goods, they were spread throughout the map. So what you ended up doing is you got some goods from here, you shipped them there, then you shipped the resulting thing over there, and then on this side of the map you had another production chain, and if you went further down, I think you had wine over here, and if you wanted to get spices, you needed to send trade caravans all the way to the south with this nice map to, hey, send them to the Mediterranean to actually get spices. And that's where how you distributed things across the map. So you sent things all over, you had production centers all over the map, and you ended up sending trade ships, trade convoys. That's the entire circle of the game's cities in order to balance trade goods. Rise of Venice had a similar thing. If you wanted to make clothing, you needed to scour all the tips of the Mediterranean to get all the different parts needed to actually make decent clothing. And then after that, you needed to distribute everything across the map as well. Grand Age Medieval, it allows you to build your own cities where you want, as long as it's not within range of another city. And it allows you to reconfigure all the goods that are being produced in those cities. From an empire management perspective, that's great. Your empire, you control what you want to do with it. So the freedom is yours. On the other hand, if you're a min-maxing business tycoon, at least if that's the way you play the game, then sooner or later you're going to figure out, okay, there's 20 goods. I can produce 5 goods per city. In the most perfect situation, 4 cities times 5 different goods equals all 20 goods. Can I make that setup work? And the answer is yes. So the first production chain ends in meat. So you have salt, which requires lumber, which feeds into meat. Because salt generally comes from the sea, you also pick up fish. And then you have one spare slot which I dedicated to wine because it's not part of any production chain and it grows in the area. Same here. Bread or pastries requires grain and honey. Grain is also used for beer. So it's logically to combine all 4 things into one city, and then you got one spare slot which I dedicated to fruits because it doesn't actually is part of any production chain and it grows just about everywhere. Next up you have clothing. Clothing requires furs and cloth. Furs just grows in the area on animals. Yes, I'm treating them like plants, but from a game perspective it really doesn't matter. Cloth, you need wool for that, and then you got one slot available which I'm dedicating to bricks, which is not part of any production chain. Last but not least, the end game luxury good of this game is pomp, which requires tools and pottery to make. Pottery requires coal, just like tools requires both metal and coal as well. This is a perfect production pipeline. All 5 goods that you need to make pomp in the same city. And that's it. I've got all production goods that need to be made. I've got them in these 4 cities. So I can just send my traders around between them, and I've got... Eventually, I can perfectly balance this, and then I can just send some traders out to nearby cities to sell off the excesses, and eventually, you know, make them happy enough to like me, and then eventually via diplomacy or war convince them to join my empire. So the trade part, it's a bit more simplistic than I would have liked it. And you can just, you know, add or remove the businesses as you want. It feels like they took a step back, like, hey, we're an empire management game now, so we need to take things more to an abstract level. I think, to my taste, they went too far with that, and they took something out of the game that used to be fun. The complexity, the setting up of trade routes, the balancing of goods across the entire map. That was part of the fun. That aspect of the game is now gone, because it's just so simple to set up a perfect production chain that you would be, if you're the type of min-maxing business tycoon player like me, you end up doing this sooner or later, and it's gonna suck the fun out of it, because I can zoom in. Look, this part of the map, or this little part of the map, this is now all of the game that's required to get all the goods. All the other 95% of the map, it's completely useless. I don't need it. I can produce all the goods I want in these 4 cities, and then I can replicate it. So I think I got half of the setup over here, got half of the setup over here. Actually, because this is part of my early empire, it's not optimal. This is later part that is completely reconfigured. Over here, this is a city that was there. These 2 cities I actually founded basically in order to optimize the production chain. So you got another setup over there, and you can just keep repeating this the same old thing, and it's, I don't know, it's you do it because you're a min-maxing player. You do it because if it's the most optimal way to play the game, you end up doing it, but it sucks the fun out of it because there's this huge map and it's meaningless. Okay, so that was major gripe number 1. Oh, actually, let's show. I think I have a settler around here. Yep. So if I hold Alt, I can actually see the makeup of the land. So you cannot found a city within reach of another city. But if I go just outside of the... This is curious. Oh, wait, my control key was happened sometimes. Yeah. So if I walk outside of the blue circle, then I can actually build a town here. And if I look, okay, I got some lumber and some bricks and some metal and some honey in range, because honey and metal. If I go over here, I will also pick up wine from over here. If I send my guy up here, I can't actually settle here because it's on top of a mountain, but then I would also get coal in range. If I go over here, pick up the furs as well. And if you look at, now there's not a lot of variety of goods available. There's some salt here, some inland salt. The sea always provides salt and it provides fish. So if we go here, you get fishies and salt added as well. You got the cultivated commodities over here, which basically means things like grains, fruits, just the things you would normally put down on a field, wool with sheep. You can just grow them, and the more advanced produced goods, you can always do them anyway because they only need a factory inside of your city. And with those 6 or 7 different types of commodities that are found scattered throughout the map, they are reliably scattered throughout the entire freaking game map. So there's no need to spread out your cities, there's no need to trade between regions, because everything you need is already here on this really tiny piece of map, and it keeps repeating. So yeah, given that as a premise that there's no real need to expand and connect different parts of the map, let's dive into the next part of the game, diplomacy. So this is a neutral city. I have managed to get my reputation up by basically just submitting an offer, saying I want to do some diplomacy and then I want to demand your town. Okay, What's the requirement for the town? Well, I need to get my popularity at 95%. So that means I just need to trade a lot with them and give them the goods that I need to make them happy. And I need to get my sympathy rating up. And sympathy rating is just a nice way to say I need to bribe the hell out of the mayor. So the difference here, I'm at 30%, I need to get to 80%. That's probably gonna cost me $1 million. So let's see. Okay, split. We add 100,000. So let's say I give him half a million. Here, boom. Offer.
It's impossible for me to agree to this offer.
Oh wait, I need to get more popular, but also I need to get some sympathy. So I actually meant to do is buy his sympathy for $500,000. That buys me 15%. Seriously.
Oh, you wish to make
I think my sympathy is being undervalued here. So let's give him a bit less. 8%. So that's because I'm pretty far into the game and they know I have money and good reliable ways to get money. So he wants in on it. He just wants me to buy him out for a lot of money. But eventually, if I just keep shoving enough money in his direction, he'll just join me. And that city will then cease to be controlled by a neutral mayor and it will just become a part of my city, just like any other part of my empire, just like any other city. And because this game, at the heart, it's a business simulation, there is zero regards for things like reputation, the sentiment of the people, attitudes, nothing. Once a city is part of my empire, I totally control it. There's no human factor, no emotional factor anywhere. And for a game that pretends to be an empire management game, I think they are skipping out on some essential parts there. But as I said before, I think this game, despite it being a released game and the version number saying 1.0.1, this feels like an early access game. All the game systems are in, it's stable, but it feels hollow. Once you have played it for a bit, it's reasonably easy to see all the game systems and realize there's not really a lot of interesting things going on. The trade system, you pierce through it pretty quickly. Once you figured out like, hey, there's this optimal setup, boom, it stops being interesting because you have solved the problem. Diplomacy, once you figure out that really, you either bribe the hell out of the mayor or you just conquer them by force. End of it. So, conquer them by force, that's the last bit. I think I had some troops standing around here doing nothing. I mean, being heavily involved in war. So, this is war. Blue ones are my people. The white ones are the bandits in this for this bandit camp, and the green ones are my ally Eudokia, just standing about with the scouts. And the game is basically just a rock paper scissors game. I sent in quite some forces, and the bandits they are down to quite a bit. I think I started with over 3,000 swords of military points. And the enemies were at 2,000 or so, and now I've got them decimated. So, yay for me. But combat, it takes a long time. They're just standing there shooting. Slowly, the enemies die 1 or 2 or 3 at a time, and I think combat takes years of in-game time. If I hold space and accelerate time, they start dying a bit faster, but really, they lose about 10 people a week. So it takes a while to kill enemies. So if I now just attack the bandit camp, as I was originally planning to do, I'm now besieging it. Which basically means all the troops just awkwardly dancing around it like a game of musical chairs, until they have positioned themselves correctly, and I have ground down the resistance. And I think this is actually because I'm using too many troops to attack them. It's only 990 points out of the 2500 points that I have available. So not all of them are actually attacking. And I've now vanquished a bandit. So let's send him to town to heal up. Just like some of the other troops I've already sent back. And that's combat. It's dreadfully boring. It's there probably just to tick off some boxes. But it's not going to engage anyone. Which, again, it's a shame. Ooh, look, pretty volcano. So, yeah, I really, really wanted to like this game. As I've said before, I really enjoyed the Patrician series. And I played a lot of Rise of Venice afterwards as well. And I was really hoping for this to be basically Rise of Venice 2. This time we're going even deeper into things. But instead... this is Rise of Venice 2. This time we're making it even more shallow, and we're not even calling it Rise of Venice, probably because of a good reason. Because it's not. It's a step in a different direction. It's a Grand Ages title, and I actually never played Grand Ages Rome. But yeah, Grand Ages Medieval. It feels like it's a spiritual successor to the Patrician and Rise of Rome series. It has a lot of similar mechanics. But at the same time, it's completely not. Last but not least, development. So, because you no longer control a trade dynasty, you no longer have reputation with individual cities that you need to make happy in order to unlock your reputation and get trade licenses and build licenses and things like that with individual cities. All you need to do is increase your social rank, which just means your map just needs to be covered in more blue circles in order to gain rank. That's it. Just get more cities and increase their size to control their to increase their radius of control. And each time you gain a rank, you gain 3 development points, which you can spend on improvements. So the most important ones being to just unlock basic technologies like making pastries in a bakery, or a brewery, or a smithy, or the pottery, or the butchery. And then after that, more advanced goods include weaving, clothing, and pump. And the other ones are just tech improvements. So beekeeping, it triples honey production of your honey factories, so to say, and just double the production of grain and increase it by even 30%. So that's basically tripling your grain production spread out over 2 research upgrades. Similar things for mining and for wool factories and things like that. Another one is infrastructure. So you can actually build roads. And once you have learned how to build roads and perform slightly basic upgrades, you can actually research technology to further improve the roads to actually, and then further improve them. And if I select a building squad, which is a unit you got, you can actually say, okay, I want to build a road from, let's see, Konya to Ankara. So that already is there. But if I say, okay, I want to go via that, then it will actually construct the road. Boom. So there's now a dirt trail leading from Konya to Ankara, which goes all the way around. And if I then say, okay, let's extend it. Well, actually, let's not extend that one. Let's extend this one, because it's actually useful. So, okay. Then the building squad will just go here from wherever it is. It's near to Ephesus, so that I think was over here. And now at some point it will arrive and it will just start and it will just go through. And it's going to cost me some money and some time. And then afterwards the squad will actually be done improving the roads. Yeah, here it's arrived. Now it's starting slowly improving the route. So here you see small lines and here you see slightly larger lines. So accelerating time a bit and it's done. And I can select it and say, hey, extend it once more. And I select it, and now it needs, for the last upgrade, it needs some bricks and metal wares. And then I accelerate time and it just goes through again. and as long as the nearby city actually has those goods, it can make them. And if it doesn't have it, the building squad will just wait until the city is supplied again, and you actually get the goods. And now people going over this road will move faster, which is awful, which is awesome. But it's also so simplified. Maybe I just made the classical mistake of getting my hopes up too high, and wishing that it would be even better than previous games, rather than a step back or something different. If we put a positive spin in it, this is not a step back, this is just a transition into a different genre, which plays differently, so I should have different expectations. But I've played Europa Universalis. You know, empire management has already been done right. This is just a weak-ass attempt at doing the same thing and is utterly failing at it. And trade simulations have also been done better, because that's what the Patrician series were about, and what Rise of Rome did, and Port Royal to a certain extent as well. Though I think Port Royal fell somewhere in between, and the trade system in Port Royal was mostly on par with Patrician, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I was hoping for the trade system to be better, but instead they deteriorated it a bit. Yeah, and I'm sad about that. So, very long discussion, basically to say that, yeah, in its current form, I'm not going to do a Let's Play series for this game, because I don't think it's good enough to actually do a Let's Play series for, and nor do I think it's engaging enough. I think my attention will be lost before the series is through. So, yeah, I'm really hoping for an upgrade, for either a patch that adds more, or an expansion that actually fixes the game and turns it into a game it should have been. Either way, yeah, keep an eye for it. At some point it's going to be discounted, because it might take a year. But if the developers will continue in the same fashion they've done before, this is probably going to get 2 or 3 smaller patches, then it's going to get an expansion, then that expansion is going to get 2 or 3 patches, and then this game will be done. It's going to never get any more patches, and then a year and a half or 2 years later, there's going to be a new game in the series. And maybe that's better. I really hope they get their shit together before that, though. So, yeah. That's it. So, this was Narnach, a rant about Grand Ages Medieval. If what you've seen so far does appeal to you, you are part of our small minority of people that do enjoy the game. If you look at Steam and the reviews, it's very mixed. Just go to the Steam forums, to the reviews, and just read them. The reviews, they highlight all the different aspects of the game. There's the pros, the cons. There's the broken expectations. There's yeah, it really does illustrate pretty well how my mixed feelings about the game are as well. I really want to like it to a certain extent. I'm enjoying it. I put 24 hours into the game in the first weekend. That means I did enjoy it, but yeah, for a game on stream, it's just not engaging enough. So yeah, I'm gonna stop here. So I thank you for watching. I hope you can understand my feelings for it, and why I'm not doing a Let's Play series for it. Even though you might have expected me to do one, given me previously playing the Rise of Venice series on this channel as well, and just generally being into this kind of game. But yeah, unfortunately, we can't always have nice things. So I thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in another series, or in a future series about this game after it has been drastically improved and made more interesting to play and watch. And with that, I bid you farewell. Bye bye.